screen. The video there showed a lot of animals, it showed a lot of people as well. WWF is very much about a relationship between people and the environment, and that's very important to us. We appreciate that business has got to carry on, but we're trying to protect the natural world at the same time. I've worked for WWF for 20 years, and when I first walked through the doors, it was a sort of big furry animals organisation, just getting into that sort of environmental, looking after the habitats, that sort of stuff. And then we went wider, we looked at the planetary effects that industry was having. We now campaign on climate change, we campaign on consumption, and there's very much a correlation between consumption and cost. So whatever your slant on what we do, I'm sure you'll recognise that cost implications of energy use are very important. Here's our slant on IT. We appreciate that IT uses energy, that it contributes to climate change. However, we support the increased use of IT because it enables individuals and businesses to reduce their consumption and their emissions by adopting innovative alternative activities such as travel. Travel is quite a good one. We've got video conferencing and unified communications and things like that can quite substantially reduce it. I represent WWF UK, which is the second biggest national office. We've got 80 some odd offices around the world. Some of them raise the money, which is what a national office is. Some of them spend the money, which is what our program offices are. And we raise funds, campaign, that sort of stuff. We have a head office in Godalming in Surrey, and very important to what we're doing with the virtualisation stuff is we've got devolved offices in all the countries around the UK and a central London office as well. And to size the organisation so you know what we're doing with virtualisation, we've got 340 staff hanging off my network. Server 2003 and 2008, core applications there. We got into virtualisation around 5 or 6 years ago. We got a VMware ESX server and we set it up as a test bed. And it ran as a test bed for about 3 months, and then somebody came along and said, I need a server quick, so we put a live one on there. And then we started putting live ones on there, and then we thought we'd better sort of protect it a bit, and it grew. And we decided to do things properly, so by 2010 we got all of our servers virtualised. We are 100% virtualised. There isn't a single piece of unvirtualised tin in the place. We are, this year, going to the MCD, so our phone systems are going virtual as well. And we are also starting a pilot to virtualise our workstations. We've got about probably 40 to 50% of our workstations we can do that with. And by 2 years' time, all the desks in our new offices, in our new office that we're moving to, will be thin clients. So there's a progression. I'm going to talk about server virtualization first, and if your phone rings as much as mine does with the amount of people trying to sell you server virtualization stuff, I'm sure you'll know most about it, or mostly about it already, but so I'll keep this bit quick. Driver for you, server virtualization, less tin. Less tin is cost. It's cost to buy, it's cost to get rid of, because you have to recycle stuff now, we do. We've got energy consumption, we've got energy consumption from the point of view we've got to keep it cool. So the fewer boxes we've got in a computer room, the better. That pans out and reduced cost anyway, and we've also got increased flexibility out of server virtualization. We looked at live moving and stuff like that, that was mentioned earlier. We can take the server out of our cluster in about 20 minutes. We can upgrade its memory, and we can put it back into the cluster, and everything will be back on it about 20 minutes later. And there is no perceptible change to the users at all. We can provision a new server within 30 minutes, which is very good. And we are very resilient. We've got 2 clusters, one in Godalming, one in co-location, and we can bounce stuff backwards and forwards on either location, so that it's not dependent on any one piece of hardware. It's not dependent on any one disk or anything like that. It's fully resilient. To give you a feel of how much we're virtualizing and what we're doing, those are my 4 servers in Godalming. And this is one of them. This is Oracle down here, and that's the cluster. That's all of the VMs that are running on that box. Most of them are powered on. There's 1 or 2 that are powered off. They are bored, mostly. They are not sitting around doing an awful lot in terms of processing. We found that this kind of density of VMs on that server is fine. We don't get any kind of degradation in performance. In fact, a little while ago we put a web server on there and the performance went up, which very much impressed our web team. The problem we have more than anything is our host memory. And so it isn't performance out of the processors we're getting, it's that so many things are using so much memory and we're having difficulty stacking up the memory to keep up with it. So that's the kind of picture of what we're doing with virtualization. We've got another farm open, a co-location with 2 servers in it, similar sort of picture. Four years ago, we looked like this. That was what we were like before we virtualized. We had 25 U of rack space. We had another probably 25 U of storage as well. 3 kilowatts. And it also chucked out 10,481 BTUs an hour. And you've got to cool that, you've got to take that heat away somehow. Then we virtualized on Big Tin. So we went to 4 servers. We had an Oracle server as well. And because Oracle was very iffy about their licensing on virtualization, we had to stay like that for quite a long time. And we went down to 13U. We've dropped the power by a third, nearly half the amount of heat that was coming out of it. And this is us today. My servers and my storage doing more than they could 5 years ago, are in half the rack and producing less than half the heat and a third of the power. So it's tangible from that.
That's the 60% portion, just the beds, isn't it?
Yeah.
You didn't plan it that way.
No. I'm not sure about the cost thing though, because we've still got 2 bods running that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to do a hell of a lot more than we used to with it. Now on to the meat of things, because we did all that, we're happy with virtualization, and we've got, like I say, we've got 2 engineers. They're both VMware VCP trained. If you're going into virtualization, I strongly recommend you get somebody trained in it, because there are a lot of little nuances of the virtualization platform that you've really got to get right. And they've turned into a bit of a pair of wizards on it. And a lot of that infrastructure that you see was because of their ingenuity with it, I think. It's a scary day.
That's unwise decision.
It goes like this.
Someone touch the wood for me.
Tomorrow we go live on VMC. We go with all 5 sites switching to SIP trunks simultaneously. We put all the numbers across. We have 2 geographically separated synchronized VMCDs. We've got all of our users also simultaneously becoming a hot desk user, and we're switching to new point voicemail at the same time, which is kind of a lot to do on the same day. And the reason it's got pushed back to tomorrow, I should have been standing here with a month of experience on this, telling you how well it went, but this bit of SIP trunking, we're in the hands of BT. BT's SIP conversion, and well, their SIP rerouting for numbers has put us back quite a considerable degree. However, they're sticking to tomorrow, and they say it's going to be all right. So 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, they're going to take all of our numbers off the air. They're going to route them through to NetX, Britannic's SIP service, and our phones will be sitting there live and waiting for those calls to start coming in, and they'll start lighting up. BT incidentally won't do this service out of office hours either, which means that we've got it bang working day, hence the 8 o'clock start. The reason I'm standing here today is I'm confident in Britannic's engineers to get this done. They've been working with my team, and they're kind of part of my network team now. I don't know whether anybody's worked with Bonnie at Britannic, but she's been in and out of our office over the last few weeks, and my team bounce off of one another, and it's really quite a joy to watch. The drivers for virtualizing it, we sat at a meeting back in January, and we said we might as well virtualize, because we don't need a physical piece of tin anymore. We've been running 3300s, a pair of them, and they were a single point of failure. They have a single power supply. They had BT ISDN lines going into them. If anything went wrong, it was kind of hard to route stuff out of those. If we flipped over to SIP trunks, though, you don't need a card in a box to take a line in. So no interface modules, might as well go virtual. Plus we had the virtualization space, we knew it, we were confident with it. It did freak us out a bit, thinking that we were going to put a telephone system on a piece of tin alongside a database application or exchange system or whatever. And it took us a little while to get our heads around that. But we found that in tests, we've got the resilience that we need, we've got the flexibility we need, we can bounce stuff around, we can live move between between hosts, we can do system level backups, we can do snapshots. So we get in that virtualization environment with VMCD exactly what we get with all of our other servers, and we're very pleased with that. We have had to have a rethink on a couple of things. We used to have a scenario where our UPSs were, we have no generator, and consequently when you get a power cut, the computer room overheats because the air cons go off. So we have no choice except to shut down our servers. And we got all the stuff to do that, and that all worked fine. And we have two UPSs, and one of them stays up and runs the phone system, because you don't want your phone system to die just because there's a power cut. And we have an SLA with the organisation that says that we keep the phones up for 24 hours. Now we put it on a server, we don't want to shut that server down, but it's in the same farm as a load of other servers that we do need to shut down. So we've had to be fairly constructive about our power management and what we do with that. And the other thing is, because we're SIP trunking, we've had to do a lot of traffic management. Now, our friend from Geneva here has talked much about that over the last half an hour, and we've had to be very diligent in the way that we route telephone calls over our network, particularly given that we, for some bizarre reason, we put offices in very out-of-the-way places. Like we have an office in Little Dunkeld in Scotland, we had to dig up the A9 to put fibre in there. So if you happened to be driving north about 2 years ago and there were dirty grey roadworks there, I'm sorry. It was, but having put that fibre in, we're running about 6 megs into each of those offices, which should do video conference alongside phones and alongside data and browsing and all the rest of it. And we've had to do traffic shaping for that. The scary thing is it's yet to be tested, because we can't emulate in our real environment with everybody calling one another and that sort of stuff up front. So we've got an exciting time tomorrow, hoping that works. But plus, of course, one other consideration is if you are going through this SIP conversion, it might be a time to BT. Throughout the project, we worked as a partnership. These 4 companies have worked together. WWF has a couple of VMware guys who know their environment quite well. We've had Bonnie and Steve from Britannic and a few other engineers working remotely as well, building those SIP services. We've had Jerry project managing, and the engineering has gone out absolutely brilliantly. We've had a couple of problems along the way, and we got Mitel involved, and Mitel have been patched into our system as well, looking at the VMCD and VMAS support, and the way that we're running it and health checking it. And I mentioned the traffic shaping. We've had Telstra, who we work very closely with. They provision our MPLS network, and they've worked on the quality of service. And I've got a very good Cisco guy who's worked with one of their Cisco guys, and that's why I'm fairly confident it's all going to work tomorrow. But you need that kind of partnership in there. The thing about this, though, is that I believe that VMCD is able to run in an environment alongside a load of other things quite comfortably, and we're quite a small organisation compared, I think, to probably some of the bigger ones that you've got in the States that first went into this. So we've got some quite good stats, I think, that will come out of this to show what kind of pressure it's going to put on the network, what kind of pressure it's going to put on the tin that we're running it on over the next few months. And we'll be working with Britannic and feeding that back to them, saying, yeah, 2 processors are hammered and that sort of stuff. It's the kind of thing you need to know to work in a smaller environment when you've only got 300 to 400 users rather than 20,000 or whatever. So I hope that's going to be useful to feed that back to Britannic and Mitel as well. There's a plan to all this. About 3 or 4 years ago, we decided to go to a new office and have this focus built, and it's called the Living Planet Centre. And right from the start, as soon as they had the idea, they came to us and they said, you have to get yourself in shape for the new office. This is a view of it. It's going to be built in Woking in Surrey, and it opens in 2013. And it's going to be BREEAM outstanding. I don't know if you're familiar with BREEAM building standards for environmental greenness and all that sort of thing. BREEAM outstanding is the highest they do. It's going to be better than that, in fact. So we have to get ourselves in shape for this. Now, I was told the other day that at 45 years old, I'm at the bottom of the curve for grumpiness, and you can't get any grumpier in life than when you're 45. The minute I heard this, I said, you're implying we're not in shape already. However, there are plans around this new building where we are going to change completely the way we work. So it's kind of provisioning things to get people's head around the idea that they're going to completely change the way they work when they get into that office. Environmentally, it's better if people don't travel to work. If they can work from home, great. In fact, I saw a WWF US paper the other day that said that if Americans worked as much as they possibly could from home, the carbon reductions would be equal to the entire carbon output of the UK and Italy combined, which is an awful lot of energy wasted when you think about it. People driving around just to go to places, to meet up with one another, and to sit at a desk. So this building is entirely designed with flexibility in mind. You can sit where you like. You can sit within teams that are working on a project, and then you can go and sit within your functional peak, within your actual sort of managerial type teams within the office. You can break out, take your laptop with you. There'll be wireless everywhere, so you can sit wherever you need to be to do your job. It's all about not coming in unless you have to. If you have to, making the most out of the experience when you get in, and going away having got the job done with the minimum of fuss. There are some enabling technologies that we've got to put behind that, and that's why the MCD is going in tomorrow. Because on the back of that, we've got unified communications going in over the next year or two. We are going to have one number communications, because this cardboard cutout white woman there, when she wanders down here and sits at a desk, we don't need to be chasing her around the building trying to work out whether she's in or out or up the street or gone into working or on a train to London or whatever. And likewise, wherever these people work within that office, they need the same experience wherever they go. So we're doing virtual desktop infrastructure. So that's pretty much it.
What are you using for your virtual desktop infrastructure?
We're under a pilot at the moment. We've just contracted SCC, in fact. We did a very close scrutiny of a number of companies and their ability to deliver. And they are currently running an analysis. We have in the region of 50 to 70 applications. So there's your...
Well, my numbers are right.
50 we could count straight off, so there's reasonably another 20 kicking around on the network, so they've got to analyse the workload on those, analyse who's running them, analyse the kind of desktop logins, occupation, that sort of stuff over the next few weeks. And then they're probably going to suggest a combination of Citrix running on VMware, that sort of stuff. It really depends on the outcome of that